All right. There we go.
Hey.
I'm calling the meeting to order at 9:45.
8:45.
8:45.
Oh,
Start that over again.
Start on Sunday.
Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL.C30A, whatever 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Southborough Council on Aging will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at www.southboroughtown.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch or participate in the meeting may do so in the following manner by following the meeting at www.southboroughtown.com/remote meetings. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on Southborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. All right. So our first business is to approve the meetings from February. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
who said that, Mike?
Yes.
Okay.
Seconded?
Second.
Who said it?
Russ.
Brent?
Okay.
Okay. So we'll take a vote. Carol?
Yes.
Bill?
Yep.
Mary Ann? You're on mute.
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Russ?
Yes.
Mike?
Yeah.
Brent?
Yes.
Joyce?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. All right, moving on. We'll start off with just sort of the winter drive-throughs. Are we still doing some winter drive-throughs?
Yep, we've got St. Patrick's Day coming up. We've got Tina Bemis. We've got opening day for the Red Sox. They're all full. We've pushed the two food ones over 100
Well,
at this point. So we've closed them now with no wait lists because that's probably all we can handle. So we're going to continue with, the plan right now is to continue with the drive-throughs through June. Kind of do two tracks, continue with what we're doing now. Classes still running the same way, programs still running in the same format, putting different, different things in, but, and then we're gonna run kind of a second track starting in June. And we're gonna plan some tentative things for outside in June. Wait a minute. Which device am I looking at? Hold on a minute, I have a list here somewhere if I can figure out what I'm doing.
While you're figuring it out, the Dell Men's Club is also having a drive.
Oh, that's right, we have a Dell Men's.
On March 19th, lobster rolls from JP's.
What date was that?
19th of March, Friday the 19th.
That's right. So we added that in. The other thing, Mary Ann, I didn't know if you wanted to add in any kind of a drive-through lunch or box lunch or something to think about for maybe before a hike or something when since the weather's going to be better.
Okay, I'll think about that. That sounds good.
Okay. I asked Peg to write up quickly what's coming up. So May, we have John Horrigan is going to do a talk on Paul Revere. We have a legal seminar on Zoom. We still have strength, stretch, Qigong Chair, Fitness, Dull Men's Club,
Oh, my
Joy of
God.
Nature.
I can't write that fast.
That's okay. I can send it to you. And a chat with the staff. There's the drive-throughs that we talk about. We're also doing a monthly luncheon at Colonial Gardens. We've got all the Trailblazer stuff. In June, John Horrigan's doing a talk on the Titanic. Another legal seminar, same classes, to be determined. The Joy of Nature subjects are not set yet. Let's see, and the possibilities that we talked about, and this is something I want to kind of kick around with you guys, is, so we're talking in June, and then we were talking about July and August. And so what we'd like to do is put in some outdoor programming. We're going to purchase some furniture with the formula grant money, some small square patio furniture, you know, the little tables, the small squares with the chairs so we can move them around farther apart. We'll buy some of those with the formula grant money, and then we can hopefully just set those up. And other than mowing, they can kind of stay there and be like our outdoor cafe space. Some of the possibilities that we want to do, and we may have to do them multiple times to accommodate everybody. So the things have to be kind of flexible. So having Yeomans come in and do ice cream sundaes, having an ice cream truck come. I looked into a cupcake truck. We've got a couple of music things.
Can you hold on just one second? I don't know where, I'm hearing a lot of interference. I don't know if it's coming in general or we're picking up a mic from somebody. If you could just put yourself on mute, and let's see if we can clear that up.
It sounds like a bird tweeting.
Yeah. So everybody can just mute, and then you can always, if you want to talk, just hold the space bar down. If you're on a regular PC, you're able to talk with the space bar down.
Is that any better? Okay, better? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Thanks.
Okay, better. Okay, so where did we leave off? So basically, we're trying to come up with a bunch of flexible ideas that if regulations change, we can change them quickly, or if the weather changes, we can change them quickly. So we've got a musician. We could sit out in a semicircle kind of thing, or a couple semicircles, and that musician could play for an hour. We could do box lunches with it.
I think the
then-
noise is in the background at Pam's.
There's no noise here, though.
Sandy, you're not on mute. Would you try putting on mute?
Me?
Yeah.
I can hear what you're talking about, but oh, now it's stopped.
Okay, never mind. I just
Not
said
on
that
mute
because
either.
you were the only one not on mute.
I can still hear it, though. I don't know. Are you guys good now?
Try it again. We'll see.
Okay. So we've got all the trucks. We've got a musician that can do kind of like in the round kind of situation outside with box lunches. We can do those kinds of things, and we'll either repeat them twice in the same day or do them on back-to-back days. We're still working on that because we figure we can only accommodate space-wise maybe 30 people at a time before we start to get issues with people getting too close to each other. So in order to accommodate as many people as I think will want to come to these things, we're going to have to do them multiple times. Depending on what it is, we may have to do different days. It depends on how costly it is to do it that way. We may have to do them on the same day to keep the cost down. So if you have any ideas, we're also looking at Tina Bemis. I also talked to a place in Holliston called Bunkhouse Crafts. And so maybe they can come up with some crafty projects that we can do outside. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
I just have one comment, Pam.
Yeah.
I know that we've always ended our exercise programs in the summer,
Yep,
but I think these 2 exercise programs that Sharon is giving us are really
yes,
important. And if we could continue those on Zoom, which I'm assuming she may want to do that
Right.
I think that would be really great because there is a core
Yep.
of people that have been using that. I don't know if you've looked at that in your plan at all.
Yeah, we are. We're looking at, Peg, I asked Peg to start talking to the instructors, to see who's willing to either come on site, or continue through, at least with an 8-week program in the summertime. We don't know who wants to do what. We're also thinking about September, bringing those instructors in. And again, we're checking on their availability. Their schedules are probably going to be a little all over the place because I don't know if they're going to want to stay on Zoom or come in. And I don't know how many other senior centers are after booking them, on site. So yeah, there's a lot of that that's up in the air, but we are looking at possibly bringing some of those over onto the lawn or onto the parking lot in the summertime if the instructors are interested and if the classes some of those classes might want to stay on Zoom. So Peg's testing the water. So if everything goes the way we want, we'll have kind of a mixed bag schedule with more activities in June, and we'll have a summer schedule with the exercise classes and a bunch of other things that we are coming up with now. I feel pretty confident that we can have a pretty full schedule that's safe. There was a meeting with it's the reopening committee, and it has the Board of Health is involved, fire chief, a bunch of other people. And I think they're going to be okay with that, with the outside part of it. There is no definitive answers at all about people coming in the building and things like that. None of that has changed. People can come into like town hall by appointment, or there's a doorbell there, but it's still not open. And we pretty much operate the same way. I think in the next newsletter, I'll put some information about, especially Leslie, that let people know she's still there. And we're still talking about the best way to hold her appointments, whether it's, inside with a distance if we have to, or outside. But kind of reiterate that she's still there and available by appointment. So, yeah, we're looking at a lot of things, but right now, as far as the status, it's kind of, nothing is really changing as far as the town right now. We're going to meet again next month and just kind of take it as it comes and see what happens. But how do you guys feel about that plan?
I don't really understand it. I mean, restaurants are opening up. They're allowing outside dining at all the restaurants. The restaurants are at least half capacity now. So I don't know why we're not being allowed to go in, or at least be able to hold more outside. I think by May, we should be able to hold quite
Outside will be fine.
outside and not even worry that much about social distancing to a certain extent, but you're outside. These people that are outside dining are not necessarily all 6 feet apart everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think we're in a population that's going to be highly vaccinated. And the vaccines will have really kicked in by then.
Yeah, and there are some regulation or relaxing of regulations coming out of both the CDC and the state. Governor Baker made some announcements earlier this week regarding entering phase 4. And I've been reading through it, and it's mind-boggling because now we're past the 1-year mark. And when he refers to March something or other, you got to figure out whether he's talking about 2020 or 2021. And I was reading through and I said, wait a minute, was that last year or this year? But in any case, some of the regulations are being relaxed, whereas they're opening up. If you've been vaccinated, if you're fully vaccinated, whether it's a 2-shot or a 1-shot deal, now they're upping the number of people that can gather from 50 up to 100 people. But, my question was then, okay, if the state says it's okay, we're still waiting on the local Board of Health, I would assume, to say it's okay for us to gather.
Yeah, I think, Heather, they're waiting.
Yeah, so
for some clear guidelines as far as that's concerned. We're talking about, when we were talking about like April, May, June, that kind of thing. So I think they're kind of waiting to see what those guidelines are. And, we are, the other part of it is the staff isn't fully vaccinated yet, which is a concern.
Well, yes, they're putting all these ifs on them, and so, it's still very murky, even though they're putting the earliest date that such and such can happen is this. You're still looking at a time beyond that before it's actually going to happen.
Yeah, I feel pretty comfortable that by May,
I
hope.
think, yeah, I
Right.
think you're right with May, because at one point they said March 18th was something, rolling out, but again, that doesn't mean that as of March 18th, you can
Yeah.
open the doors.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I
May
want-
we're kind of holding aside as far as kind of how we did it last July. I don't know if you remember. The stuff wasn't in the newsletter, but we did do some programming in July. And that's kind of how we're looking at May because of the timing. If we don't have the information as to exactly what we can do, we can plug in some smaller things in May if they're not in the newsletter, and then look at doing June as a full-fledged schedule and go the other way. If something happened, we would cancel them, but make the assumption that June, we're good to go. May, have some tentative stuff in our pocket, and wait to get the official word as to what we can do. The other questions that came up about this was if we're okay outside, the big discussion about bathrooms and people coming in to use the bathroom, that wasn't 100% resolved. So that was a little bit up in the air. I mean, if we're going to run a program, we have to have access to a bathroom. I mean, there's no question about that. I mean, if we don't have one, people are going to need one. What are you going to do? Say you can't use the bathroom? So, I mean, that was part of it. Nothing was concluded really officially in that meeting 100%. So, but I think it will be in the next few weeks, in the next meeting. And so we're just kind of proceeding like May is tentative, June, we start putting those things in there, and the summer, July and August, we have a summer schedule with all of those programs that we talked about. And then the size of the programs, that kind of will depend on what those guidelines are too. We picked the number of 35 people just because we can break it up into 2 groups and cover a big chunk that way. It's not real scientific, but we feel like we can keep, we took worst case scenario, if people needed to stay apart from each other, we picked that as a number for starters, but it all could change.
I think that I'm pretty comfortable with that. I think we're going to be really full blown. I mean, the schools are all back or
Yep.
will be all back in the next 2 weeks with everybody there. That means my wife's class is going to have 24 kids in it, and they are 3 feet apart if you measure from the middle of one desk to the middle of another desk. And let me tell you, that means they're 2 feet apart.
Well, our people are going to be worse. Our people are going to be one foot away if we let people.
Having the access to a bathroom is a ridiculous statement. There has been so few ways that this virus has passed through contact. It's really passed through the air, not through physical contact as much.
Yeah, I think that'll work
So,
out too. It was just part of the discussion. The other part of the discussion too was, and we didn't have 100% definitive answer. I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I mean, if we get to the point where we're doing programs inside and we're doing bus trips or something like that, can you ask or can you require people to be vaccinated before they go? I mean, I'm guessing the answer to that is no. But there wasn't 100% conclusion on that either in that discussion, but I'm sure we'll get there. And can you require people to wear masks? All of these questions are still kind of up in the air. I'm hoping we have the answers by the time we get through the next month or two.
Yeah. Joyce has a question.
She doesn't have her picture up.
Go ahead, Joyce.
I'm sorry, I don't have a question. Did I raise my hand?
Anyway, my attitude is the quicker we do this, the better. I see seniors in terms of isolation, as a very vulnerable population. I think we can be careful and try to extend and get more people together. The sooner in my mind, the better.
We started by looking at, I guess we're building it around the social aspect. So we can do this like smaller programs that are easy to move and, easy to change if we have to, but really focus on that social part of it. I kind of picture it set up kind of like a little cafe, some of those tables with umbrellas, kind of a social place. The other thing that we're talking about doing like maybe every other week is a continental breakfast. It's just a social kind of thing where people, come, you have something to eat, you have a cup of coffee, you chat with whoever's there. We're talking about either that or the other part of that we were talking about was, I know Bill probably remembers when we used to do those Friday breakfasts, like outside with, so those went over really well, but kind of create an atmosphere where it's like a little cafe where people come and with the main focus being seeing other people. I guess less of a focus on what the event is and more on the social part of it. The event kind of accompanies the social aspect of it. That way we can just keep these smaller, food trucks. I'm looking at simple things because it definitely comes with innate problems with the weather and rescheduling and things like that and how we can do multiple times. So we can't really do we're not really ready to tackle like a full-fledged barbecue and do that twice out there and that kind of stuff. I'd rather put in these smaller different things and see how it goes. And hopefully, maybe in September, we'll be able to do that, which would be great.
I like that idea.
Yeah, it's kind of a tentative, if you guys have any suggestions on things we can do that fit that format, please let me know because we're hunting for some we're looking at a grilled cheese truck. I don't know, we're looking at anything that's going to pique people's interest and just kind of get them out there and sit in a lawn chair and see their friends and be outside. And right now in my mind, we're planning on 74 degrees and sunny every day. We'll see what happens.
A margarita truck, a margarita truck.
A margarita truck. You can get a margarita cupcake.
I have one comment. This is Joyce.
Yeah.
And starting slow is a very healthy idea because of the isolation that people have been through. We are not who we were a year ago. It's harder to meet up with people because we haven't been doing those things that we used to talk about. So starting slow is probably mentally healthy for everyone to sort of, it's a hard question when people say, so what have you been doing? Well, nothing, and so I think starting slow is just a healthy and prudent idea all the way around.
Yeah, so we're looking at kind of transitioning from that drive-through format into, that 35 approximate size group social setting, at this point.
Yeah, maybe you can do a sort of a get reacquainted
Yep,
coffee hour,
Yeah. yep,
And
absolutely.
bring-
That's
a
kind
good
of,
point that Joyce made, and just sort of bring that up and say, hey, you've been sitting at home not talking to anybody, come on out, meet
Yep.
everybody again, very social, very relaxed,
yep,
no
like
big
chill
agenda.
out, have a cup of coffee, have something, have something to eat. Yeah, we're gonna ease into it and yeah, that's kind of how I was looking at it. I don't know what anybody else, the other senior center directors that I've talked to are all struggling with the same thing. Some of them have better setups as far as programming as, space. Everybody has different space. There are some that have no outdoor space, so we're lucky to have that. We're also considering, looking at maybe roping off some of the back parking lot. That's not ideal either. Just because a lot of people drive through there and stuff. But so we're looking at some options. The other senior centers, like Marlboro has that kind of overhang indoor outdoor space, and some of them have better space. But we're going to use what we can, and then we can ramp it up too. That's the good part is there's no reason why if things all of a sudden okay, we don't have to stay at 35. There's absolutely no problem with us adding people. Our waiting list is we'll have those will be in place. So as there's no lack of people that are interested in doing these things. And I think there's going to be a big interest once we put it out there. And the other part of it is it's going to be a little more expensive doing some of these things, but we're okay financially. The Friends are doing well. And if we have to do double duty or have a vendor stay longer so we can cover a couple of different groups. Even we were kind of talking about, even if we get if we are into the fall or whenever we are for bus trips, I talked to Fox Bus Company the other day, they're starting with some college groups, and then they're kind of, they're testing the waters too on getting ready, when people are ready to do it. And, maybe we'll have to do a half capacity bus and do 2 buses on a few things for the first few months until we get to that point. I don't know what that will be, because that'll probably be the last thing we start, the last piece of the puzzle for the programs. But the good part is we probably can afford to do that a few times, which is kind of neat if we have to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they're all good ideas. You're really flexible about this and trying some new things. And, I just like the idea of groups just getting together socially on a regular basis. I think that's really important.
Yeah, and that's why I like that little breakfast get together thing. We were debating about, how often do we do it? We would kind of last thing Peg and I was saying, like maybe every other week, so people know about it. And then if people really like it and it turns into like a dull men's kind of thing and people really want, then we can ramp it up to every week. There's not a lot of expenses. The setup is already done, and I think we just have to play some of it by ear, but I want some of it, concrete on paper, obviously. And Marianne, we'll get back to you as soon as we know on these instructors. It's a lot depends on what they're going to do. So we'll see. That's pretty much what was talked about too at that reopening meeting, but I'll keep you posted. That's going to change at least monthly, if not sooner than that.
Okay, there's no other questions. We move on to just sort of the budget and the formula grant. Is there anything that's coming up that would, impede these programs or things?
We haven't had any, as far as I know, nobody's touched our budget. We had those budget discussions ages ago. I haven't heard anything since, as far as we're concerned. There was some discussion with the Board of Health and their nurse. They're still, I think, working through their hiring. I'm not sure what their plan is, but different things got bounced around as far as the nurse is concerned down there. And one of the things that comes up constantly, and it's come up, well, been 20 years, it's come up at least 20, no, maybe not 20 times, but probably at least 15 times in the last 20 years is, can't we hire a Board of Health nurse and have them cover the senior center too, kind of questions. And so I wasn't at that meeting, but that kind of thing was alluded to again. So we have to be on the alert, and I'm kind of keeping my eye open on those Board of Health questions to kind of be around in case those things come up. So I can basically, tell people, no, it's not. If they're 2 separate positions, the same old story, 2 separate positions, 2 separate, skill sets, specialties. Do you want, do you want a gerontology nurse running the Board of Health? No, and same thing with us. We don't want the other way around. We want our nurse in our specialty. Hopefully that does not come to be an issue. But I want to keep an eye on it. And I think if they're still up in the air with the Board of Health pushing for certain things, and that could be a possible question at town meeting, then just if that subject ever comes up and we're mentioned in it, I want to make sure we're all ready for that and we can all speak to that, with force on it, because that's not something we ever want to change, I don't think. So that might come up. That was one thing I was concerned about. Budget-wise, I think that's gonna be okay. Formula grant's been really kicking around. John, we're gonna spend a few $1,000s on that outdoor furniture. Bill is looking at the sound system, kind of adapting that and improving that. And then the other part we were looking at this point was the floor in the big room. And we were looking at the carpeting, but combined, the floor and the carpeting was like, the quote was like $25,000, so it was too much. So now we're trying to get, John's gonna get a quote for just the floor. So those are the items that we're looking at for formula grant for this year. We don't actually have the money yet. Still, we're waiting for the state, which is probably later than I've ever seen before. The other option that we had considered was Chromebooks and creating that program. And unfortunately, Carol and I have not had a lot of luck, getting a really solid buy-in for somebody that really is enthusiastic about helping us do that. But that doesn't mean, next formula grant comes around in July. So that doesn't mean it's something we can't do. It's just,
Pam,
Yep.
the Northampton Senior Center has a Chromebook program going on right now.
yeah,
And they put a thing out in their little newsletter saying that anyone who wants to borrow a Chromebook and so I gave Carol the phone number, and maybe she can get in touch with them just to see how it's operating,
yeah,
what they bought, how they educate their seniors, because you don't have to reinvent the wheel if somebody's already doing it.
yeah,
So,
no, I'd love to
Yeah.
know.
yeah, or you can contact,
Yeah, I have the information. I did try reaching out. I did not get a person.
Yeah,
So I'm going to give, I figured I have the information. I'll give it another try. And the other thing, I did contact the IT or the tech teachers at Trottier. I reached out to them, haven't gotten a response yet, but we've got a couple of avenues we can pursue. I don't know that, to push it through for this fiscal year is getting tighter, as you know, but it's still something that might happen. So, if it's an option, but yes, for next year, yeah. So we're keeping our eyes open. Thank you, Mary Ann, for that, by the way. And we'll keep trying to get somebody, because leaving a message is like chasing whatever, a mouse. But anyway.
Yeah, we can try to get, we can also look at when we kind of get through this final piece, or hopefully what I hope is the final pandemic piece that's gonna holding us back, like next year, maybe put the word out, if we have the money to buy the Chromebooks, which we would, I think, and then maybe put the word out looking for a volunteer that would be interested to help coordinate that. Just kind of put it out to the public. We had really good luck when we looked for, a webmaster. We had some great callbacks on that, and it turned out John Del Rios was amazing and still is helping us. And so there might be somebody out there that really wants to do it. I don't want this to be put on somebody as a chore. I want somebody, a lot of these senior centers have real enthusiastic volunteers that are helping to run and teach and that kind of thing. And that's what I would love to have, is people that are really want to do it and know what they're doing. So I think
that occurred to me is, and I'm not sure how to present it, but maybe like an internship at a college level, even get somebody in here that they might get credit for from their own academic institution, but we would get probably somebody who knows what they're doing.
yeah, I'd love to find somebody that, like, if we could define it and then, bring somebody in that really wants to do it, wherever they come from would be great.
That would be a matter of approaching a couple of the colleges nearby and seeing if that's something we could set up, or maybe they already have something set up and we could take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. We can look at a lot of different things, but
There's always the Eagle Scout looking for that badge.
That's true. It doesn't even have to be a college level. It could be a high school. It could be.
Well,
I think we want to make sure that we have it at a very, two things. We need somebody that knows how to teach, and we also need somebody that understands what the seniors and where that fit is. And
that's why I mentioned the college level and the internship.
Yeah, it's tough to, it's definitely possible, but it's tough to hold a young person back. They don't really, they kind of go off and running. We need somebody with, whoever it is, has to have a lot of patience, whether, depending on,
And
you know.
usually those internships go for like a year. It's like a part of their academic program. So it gives a little long-term commitment that, you know, could be
Yeah.
helpful. And maybe it's something that gets passed on to the next year to another student.
Yeah, and there can be a stipend. I mean, we financially have that available too. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of options. I mean, I think it's definitely worth pursuing.
You know, what.
We need the equipment first.
Well,
There's
that's
Or I
the
guess
que-
we need to have some idea of what we're doing first.
There's an alternative to Chromebooks, actually, and those are tablets. And tablets, in my mind, they're a lot less scary because a Chromebook looks like a computer, no matter what you do to it. Tablets do not. And really what you're going to use it for is two things: Zoom meetings and email, for the most part. You know, and tablets can be very much more intuitive, will open up right away. You don't sit around and wait for them to do. They don't have all these other programs. They're icon driven, so you're just touching an icon on the screen. And I say this because I've been working with a woman from a client over at New Horizons who's 90 and wants to get online because she's missing all these things. And you know, we haven't set up a date yet to do it, but I don't think a Chromebook is a good idea for her. It's just, she's not computer oriented, but she has a lot of people that have used, you know, smartphones. The Chromebook, I mean, the tablet becomes much more intuitive because it's very much like a big smartphone.
I think that came
And-
up with the person that Carol was talking to. I think it's the same
Yeah.
exact conversation was
And
had.
it's, you know, for a $300 for a
Yep.
tablet is a better quality tablet than you'll get for a $300 Chromebook.
Yeah, it sounded like that was the same route that Carol found out would be better.
Okay,
Um,
good, because
And that's what we want. I mean, this isn't a learn how to use a computer. This is,
right.
like you said, it's to be able to do a couple of simple things that I wish my mother could do, that I don't have the patience to teach her.
Right.
So,
You know, I would be willing to sit with Carol and outline what our purpose is, what kind of what we want. And then we can match what we need to you know, use this
Right.
technology.
yeah, defining it would be great.
Yeah, so maybe Carol and I can sit together with our masks on, unless we're past our 2-week, you know, then we can sit with our masks on. But we can sit together and we can kind of map out, and then we'll bring it back to you. And
Yeah.
then
And
see,
I know you're familiar with a tablet. I have a tablet that's been
Yeah.
sitting around for 3 years. I haven't used it, so I've lost my my touch and feel with the
I
tablet.
think it's important to see it on the basic level.
Mhm.
And that's what we need to do. Then we can run it by the technology committee. We can run it by, you know, this board and whoever else wants to give us advice. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
hoping by the time we sort it out that there's a, you know, a technology person for the town. I'd like, hopefully it's a clone of Tom that could just know exactly what we need by our definition and go out and buy it for us. So that's, we hope for that.
The other big benefit of a tablet is it's really to install a Kindle app on it. And, you know, one of the things that the lady that I'm working with, you know, is a big reader, but she has a hard time getting books right now.
Mhm.
You know, whereas again, it's all icon driven. You have a Libby app, you can touch the screen, go through, and in 2 or 3 steps, you know, have a library book on your tablet that you can read. It's not that complicated, and I think it's so much more. It's so helpful because you don't have to worry about going to the library, picking it up, ordering it. That's a big rigmarole to be able to do that. They've done a great job, but for somebody who doesn't get out and drive that much and is still afraid to go out, it is a big deal. So that's
Yeah,
it is
that's
a
what
big
we're looking
benefit,
for.
I think, you know, for is to use a tablet like that.
And if we can find somebody that can do that one-on-one instruction on
Mhm.
just those simple pieces, one piece at a time, get rid of the intimidation factor, and then bring people up to that level would be huge. I think there's a lot of people out there that would love that.
Mhm. And I think the other piece we might want to think about, we have a lot of new assisted livings around here, and there's 3 within just a few miles, Artisan and the 2 branches in Framingham and Marlboro. These folks have not spent a lot on marketing. They're doing a lot of these drive-throughs as well because, nobody can go see them very often. We may think about them wanting to donate tablets once we figure out what we want. It might be a good way for them to get some marketing out, and again, for them to donate 3 or 4 tablets so that we could have quite a few and either lend them out or, somehow just give them out to the right people, whatever
Yep.
we want to decide on. But I think, I think there'd be business support to do that.
Good, that'd be great. Yeah, it'd be great if we could, yeah, I think if it takes off and we kind of get the bugs worked out of it, I think there is a lot of people out there that would benefit, more than just a handful.
Are we good with this? Can we move on one more?
Are you guys okay with us, like, with that formula grant plan at this point? Is the flooring in the main room? Bill might want to mention what he's talking about with the sound system, the outdoor furniture. And then I did use part of it for bulk mailing postage already because that was originally the plan. And that will spend a chunk of it. The other thing is we can carry over, if there's anything left, we can carry it over into the next year. So we don't want to be frivolous, but we don't want to leave a big chunk of money hanging out there on the table either.
You want to hear about the AV thing right now? 5 years ago, we talked to the company that installed the AV system about adding another controller at the back of the hall. So during presentations and so forth, Pega, whoever is running the show, doesn't have to run up on the stage and tweak the controller that's up on the stage by putting one in the back of the hall. We had a quote for it for $2,700, something like that. At the time, it was too much money to spend. And so the project died. Talking to Pam the other day, she said she was looking for ideas for spending some money. And I thought, hey, great idea. So I talked to the ad tech people the other day to get an updated price for doing what they talked about doing, which was adding a controller at the back of the hall. And I said, in 5 years, is there any better system? And as a matter of fact, there is. There is a system where you can control that whole AV system with an iPad, that you don't need to be at the back of the hall. You can be anywhere in the hall or possibly control it from your computer, from your desk. They are working right now to get me a quote for this newer system, and according to what the fellow told me, he says it's not going to be all that much different from order of magnitude of what the other system was. So right now I'm awaiting a quote for upgrading our AV system so it can be controlled anywhere in the hall. We'll see what happens. I should have a good answer next month.
Great idea.
The other part of the formula grant too, if we ended up not doing one of those things and we had a little more money than we wanted to kind of leave, we can use that money to do those double bus trips or to do the double, programming that's not in the normal budget for next year if we have to do that. So that's kind of a nice little thing to have in our pocket, at least some money left in that to kind of cover that piece, because now we've got the okay to carry it over, and we have got the okay to basically spend it on whatever we want, as long as it fits the town's regular, our regular spending parameters.
Is there any more consideration given to having seating or tables around the raised beds? A couple,
Yeah,
a bench or something? Or?
Sure, that we can do, no problem. Why don't you, if you want to talk to me and tell me what you want, we can do that now. That's fine.
Thank you.
We can absolutely do that.
Is there room for tables around the raised beds?
Well, we can do something small, just so that if 1 or 2 people are working there, a small round table, a couple chairs, just to have a place to sit down when you're working, or just to enjoy it.
What about
Yeah.
a bench?
A bench would be great.
Yeah.
Got the benches out front that by the bocce court. There's not too much bocce going on lately.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, any of those things we can do, not a problem.
Thank you.
What's left?
Anything new on the outreach front, Pam? Or are we still-
We're gonna do at least one more special delivery outreach program the end of this month. We'll do that. That will have covered everybody 80 plus. Cindy will have reached out to all of those people and offered that to them. So, kind of coming into spring, turning the corner a little bit, maybe kind of put that on hold for the moment. And then maybe revisit that in the fall if people are still kind of shut in their houses. But I think that was super successful in, reaching out to people and reinforcing that. It was it was great that we could afford to do it. I think people really liked it. And the delivery driver went to the wrong house and delivered Brent to his cookies to the neighbors. So we're giving Brent a reboot. So he'll get his.
They were very happy. They loved the cookies.
So, and I think maybe Sandy might be on this list too, because I think I was told, like, don't give Sandy that list because she's gonna have to deliver it to herself. So I think
Well, not
actually
to me,
Bill,
I'm not 80.
well, I don't know. I think she picked up some other people too and put them on there. I'm not sure exactly what else she did, but there's
Yeah,
other people on these lists. Well, how
Hal
old is,
told me that he wasn't, that I wasn't going to be one delivering to him.
yeah, oh, so it was Hal. So, okay. Well, is Hal gonna share? You get two. Yeah, we'll include you in that.
I
So,
see, okay,
Otherwise, so Hal doesn't have to share with you.
nice.
I think Bill delivered it to himself.
I did. They were good.
I take it there's nothing new on the senior center renovation. That's sort of on the back burner, which is why we're.
There's
considering
there's one thing, Doug. The bathroom, as far as I know, the one that facilities built is complete. And I hope you all get a chance to see it because it's really a nice job. It makes you want to go to the senior center when you need to go.
Yeah, we got.
We
have
have a
to fix-
line.
Yeah,
We have to figure out where to put the bookshelves for the library. We were talking about putting one of them in the bathroom.
That's a good idea. I have one in mind, so.
But the guys at the senior center, the facilities guys did a really super nice job on the bathroom. It's really super nice.
We can have tours.
Hey, there you go. Got to stay 6 feet apart.
Sandy, anything going on in the walking challenge here? Are we still people still?
Um, The walking challenge goes through the end of March, so I'll be
Okay.
sending out a notice next week to all the participants. And they will be asked to send in their walk totals to Peg, who will record them all. And then after the end of the month, Pam has okayed us to have a few gift cards, and we can have another drawing for just to, kind of celebrate the end of it. And there will be a new walk challenge starting at the beginning of April that goes through the end of September. People just want to get out there and walk, and the walk challenge seems to motivate them to go out.
It's been great.
I think
Doug,
that might be a good, if you want to publicize that a little bit more, if there's something in the next sort of, outdoor program that we do, to hand out a card or something to make sure people understand what's going on with the challenge is still going on.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think does it go in every newsletter, Sandy?
It has been in every newsletter.
Okay,
And as well as the invitation to sign up for the next session, which I've already had a couple of people say they want to do that. So, any way that it can be publicized beyond that would be great. I'd be happy to write something up. I have been writing them for each of the other newsletters. It's on the
Okay.
back, the next to the last page.
I think we should.
Sandy, if you want to
publish
do
the results
t-shirts
anyway.
or, I'm sorry, Doug.
I was just gonna say, let's publish the results anyway, right?
Yeah.
We did have some results that were published after the last one ended in September, at the end of September,
Okay.
acknowledging that one of our participants had over 1,300 miles that she walked,
Wow.
and her husband walked 1,200, I believe. I don't remember exactly what the numbers were, but the next highest one was 900 something. I was 665.
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
So, yeah, I do try to get some of that out. I'm not sure, I do send emails to the participants. Every number of weeks or so, and at least every other month, and just try to keep people invested in what they're doing.
And Sandy, if you want to do some kind of when these restrictions start to ease up and everything, and we get to that point, if you wanted to do any kind of like a get together event at the track, or we can help you with that too. And, or like t-shirts or hats or, anything to kind of encourage it.
Well, thank you. That's kind of why I asked about having some of the gift cards, because it would motivate them to send in their totals and to keep them interested at the end, maybe a little bit of excitement.
Yep.
But I had been thinking that it would be nice to have a get together when we can socialize a little bit more, of something that would be outdoors.
Yeah, that'd be great. And the
yeah.
t-shirts kind of can go along with that if you want it, or whatever you want to do is fine.
Okay, well, see about that, how, we got to turn out for the next session. I checked with MCOA's website. They don't have anything on there as far as the walk challenges like they've had in the past. I haven't contacted anybody there, but I could, but I would think that last year they had notices going out in February that they were going to be doing something, and there's nothing there right now.
Okay.
So, but I would like to be able to do something once it's a little bit more comfortable and safer. Most of the seniors will likely have had their vaccinations, if they're going to go through with them. And you take it from that point.
That'd be great. Thanks.
Thank you.
That's big. That'd be good. There was one other thing, Doug, about outreach. The Leslie, I guess, I don't know if you want to put it under outreach, but they have one more clinic to do over at Colonial Gardens for the second shot. So Leslie will still be involved with that. Then I think she's kind of sprung a little bit away from the Board of Health. She's been kind of helping them all along through the last year and things. We didn't really, whatever they needed, she went off and did, kind of thing. So we're going to refocus on, that's the other thing about setting up the appointments and things like that. I think we're going to have Leslie's piece go right on the front of the newsletter, and encourage people to make appointments to see Leslie, and kind of give that a little bit of a boost. So she's going to kind of refocus on us. And kind of, I know they'll ask for different things, but that's the last clinic that I think she's going to be working with. There's some little bit of talk about, a possibility of Southborough being part of a regional clinic, which the governor first said, no, when they're not doing that, then it sounded like he was encouraging it. So it's gone back and forth, and nobody seems to know if that's really going to happen someday, but it could. And they might ask her to help out with that a little bit, but I think that'll be minimal, because the seniors, we have not gotten any, well, I shouldn't say not any. We had a few people that had been really on the fence about the shot, and a couple of people that kind of missed the boat for different reasons that we got taken care of. But other than that, we're not getting any calls. And I don't think the Board of Health is getting many at all. At least they haven't let us know about any seniors. So I think we got that covered pretty well. If they're out there, they're either choosing not to, or I don't know. Cindy and I always worry about that, one or two people that just didn't click in on it, and will they turn up in 3 months or something like that? But not for lack of trying on our part. So I think we did a pretty good coverage on that.
Yeah, I think you have too. Gardens, is it still too early, or are you guys going out?
No, actually, in the last newsletter, on top of Cindy's Winter Walkers Challenge, was a little article about spring is in the air. And I ordered some plants from Burpee Catalog. They're a little expensive, but I have some interest in being a foster parent for one of the plants. Um, Also, Youth and Family Services has asked me as president of the Southborough Gardeners to do a program March 31st. So if I'm on TV, I just might give a plug for the raised beds gardens along with everything else, depending on how much time I have. So we're going to be going, and it's exciting. Things are going to be coming up, but nothing concrete right now. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay, and I have a little bit on the the front garden. First of all, we have one entry for the name of the garden, and it was in the newsletter. I'm hoping more people will participate, but it did get some response. We'd like to give the garden another name other than the flagpole garden. And so I didn't give it a deadline, but give it another month or two. But I also got some response to the notice about memorial plaques for the bricks that go around the garden. And I stopped over at Engravables recently and I got a look at the samples. I had originally envisioned metal, but I talked to the owner over there on the phone and he said, oh, we really should do weatherproof plastic. For one thing, if you go with metal, it's only black. So anyway, I went over there and he did say, okay, if you have plastic, you get a choice of colors. So I went over, oops, wait, my flashlight is shining in my eye. So here's, but you know, when I looked at the colors, I said, we don't really want a rainbow of colors if this is the memorial garden.
right.
And I thought that probably would maybe we give people a choice of one or two. But when I looked at it, we came talking to the co-owner, we came down to silver and gold, but then it was like, well, does silver and gold imply some sort of status or something? So I figured I'd throw it out to the board for an opinion. My opinion is maybe we just say you get a gold. It looks like metal, even though it's plastic, and it looks very durable. So a gold plaque that it is engraved in black. Yeah. So it's something like that.
I
like
think a
brass.
uniform color would be great.
I think they should all be the same myself.
Yeah, I think for consistency and it's not, you know, so as not to look. So anyway, I've got a couple of responses on people interested in donating, making a $50 donation, and the plaques will cost somewhere between $18 and $20 a piece. So it's a little bit of a fundraiser. Mm-hmm. And I also thought it might be nice to have sometime maybe around June or whenever regulations permit, maybe we have a little ceremony for the first half dozen or so and have a little whatever a recognition of you know, several whatever plaques. So that's kind of going along, and I know I need to get out there and do some trimming because I drove by the other day and it looks pretty bad. I noticed that picture behind Bill. It looks so nice, but that must have been that was before DPW came and hacked it down, I guess. So this is being recorded, isn't it? Anyway, I think that's all I have, unless there's any questions, but yeah, spring is here, so we've got to start getting busy on the gardens.
Mariana, you trailblazers have been out hiking?
We have been, and we're transitioning from our winter hikes to kind of muddy spring, although the other day we went over to Northborough and ended up on some trails that still had some ice. So there were a few tricky spots. But it's going well. We're still doing 3 a month. We have them booked out the whole way through April at this point, and looking forward to you know, maybe getting some other trips that we had planned before that we can carpool to. One in particular was one that Bill had arranged to the Blue Hills. And if Blue Hills opens up and says we can bring a group, we can carpool there. So that's kind of an option. So we're just kind of looking a little bit forward. And mentioning about the fall, last fall, we were not able to celebrate our 5th birthday of the Trailblazers.
Wow.
So if next fall we are able to meet and space ourselves out, it would be nice to do a 5th and 6th birthday celebration. And put up big, no, I don't know, but plan something like that if we possibly could. But again, we'll wait until we hear what the Board of Health allows us to do.
I think that's a perfect barbecue excuse.
Yeah, it sounds really good.
For
Yeah.
them,
Yeah,
absolutely.
which we had done once before. We had our
Yeah.
barbecue, our picnic, and everything like that. So that's what I kind of envision, and I've already thought about goodie bags and what to put in the goodie bag. So even if we can't do the barbecue, we can do the drive-through Trailblazer goodie bags. So
Yeah. Okay.
it's happening there.
Bill, when are we moving outside the Dull Men's Club? I vote in, sometime in April here.
Well, we might be able to do it. It's an interesting, we have an interesting phenomenon with the Zoom meetings that we've been doing through the winter time. They have been more than successful. We had our biggest Dull Men's Club meeting last Friday. We had 25 guys show up on Zoom, including 2 from Florida, which brings the point that people guys who are not able to attend a meeting physically can get online even from another part of the country and enjoy the Dull Men's Club
Yeah.
meeting. So
Yes.
I'm almost considering maybe at least once a month or something. Maybe we have a Zoom meeting just as a regular thing, because it's been more than successful. It allows guys that can't get out to join. It allows guys that can't hear very well to hear much better what's going on. So the Zoom meetings have been a great success. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a drive-through lunch this coming Friday, and it's going to be lobster rolls from JP's, and that seemed to be I was concerned that you either like lobster or you hate it, and I thought maybe it was going to be a drag on some of the guys, but so far I've already got 35 orders for lobsters.
Hope my name's on there, Bill.
I was gonna say, can I sign up?
Yeah, my name there, Bill.
Can I be a Dull Man?
So that's we're riding the wave
Carol,
of
we'll talk.
success right now.
What's
Call
that?
me, call me.
Okay, Mary Ann, back to you. Friends.
The Friends, we're supposed to meet last Monday, but we had to postpone till this Monday, so we haven't met yet. But the Friends continue to support Pam and the needs of her programs, and we're all very appreciative of what she and Peg have been able to develop. And so a lot of times we just end up maybe shooting an email out to make sure that she'll tell us what's coming up. But again, we're financially we're doing very well, and so we don't have any issues with supporting Pam and her needs, whether it be programs or sometimes we reached out to people who actually had some financial needs, and so we've done a few things. So that's where we're at.
Good. Joyce, anything particular going on at Bay Path?
Well, actually, the last meeting had a lot of discussion about the vaccines and how they're going, but I think we're pretty much up to date on that. They did say that Bay Path is able to provide COAs with funds for transportation to vaccine clinics. So that.
Yeah, it was nice that was available, but we didn't really need it. So
Yeah.
I think the bigger towns and the cities probably needed it more than we did. So it was nice though that they were doing that.
Yeah. And so there are a couple acts. I don't know if Carol's going to discuss these, but a couple of things in legislation, an act to establish personal care houses for older adults, group housing, and that's going up against, I guess, in government somehow. And another one allowing for spouses to serve as caregivers. It'll allow Mass Health to compensate spouses willing and able to serve as paid caregivers to their partners. I just thought these were two pretty positive initiatives. And that's all for me. Thank
Okay.
you.
Is there anything to add, Carol? I have one thing. to
Well, I
say.
was just gonna, recap what I mentioned earlier about phase 4 for the COVID
Mhm.
restrictions becoming effective March 22nd. And basically the guidelines saying that fully vaccinated people can gather with others. I'm not going into the full detail, but those who have completed their vaccinations can gather indoors without masks or 6 feet of social distancing. And again, this has got to come through the local Board of Health as well. So, this was on the mass.gov website coming from Baker just this past Monday, having issued new guidelines. So I think we just need to keep our eyes and ears open for what's coming. But this was the most recent proclamation, if you will. And it did say fully vaccinated people no longer required to quarantine or get tested if they're exposed to someone with COVID, but but do not develop symptoms for the first 3 months post full vaccination. And again, I have to read it a couple of times to get the full meaning. And in any case, I get things are changing and just need to pay attention to what's
Yeah.
coming. So that's really all I had.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything before we adjourn? I mean, I think overall, my impression is things are going very positively.
Yeah,
You know, for
things are
us
changing finally.
in every area, really. You know, from the vaccine to the programs that are coming on board and that have been going on. I love the Kennedy dinner was really nice. You know, I thought so. I mean, I think all those things add up. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be anything. It's all these. It's the continuation, particularly if we can get, every other week or something again for like that a coffee thing outside or whatever. I think it will start making a big difference. People will ease into it and get used to it and get out and getting out in the spring, even if it's for an hour. I know people really just enjoy being able to sit. I haven't sat with my friends for a cup of coffee outside for a year, except for 1 or 2, so it's a big deal. It really is.
Well, let's hope for some nice weather.
Yeah.
It's called trailblazer weather.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
this is a little bit of a side issue, but Freddie Gillespie has been running this winter sow program where we've been planting natural seeds, and they're sprouting in jugs in the
Oh, really?
outdoors. So that is definitely a